How are you folks in the chat doing today? How are things going? I hope you are as excited as I am for our first edition. How are you feeling about it?
I'm good. I'm really excited to get into this. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, without further ado, this is us.
It's happening. Boom! That was the sound of rainbow glitter bomb exploding in your face because it's Queercade, and we're here to play and talk about queer games. And I just sprayed all the gay all over you. You're all gay now. Congratulations. Welcome to Queercade on Intelligame. My name is Emily. I am your host. Some of you may know me from the chat and from the Until Dawn horror Halloween spooky stream that I did with Josh last Halloween. And some of you may not even be from Intelligame. Some of you might be from my personal sphere, which is wild. Hello, welcome to Game Time. Today we have a game for you called The Hill. And we also have the creator of that game here to talk with us about her game. Should we go ahead and do the thing? Am I in charge?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm just here for moral support. I'm here because
I'm so not used to being in charge.
Technically, I own the buttons that But before we bring Rachél in, do you want to give sort of just an idea of who you are, what you do, why you wanted to do the show,
Good idea. Thank you for reminding me how this.
No, totally. Again, this is
no,
this
you're,
is all
yeah,
me.
No.
I should be
Episode
giving a handoff. This is a warm handoff. This is supposed to be a warm transfer. I gave you a cold transfer. I was like, just go. It's fine.
By episode 4, this is going to be so slick. You're not going to have any idea that I haven't been doing this. You're going to think I've been a pro since I was born.
They've been doing this forever.
So, yeah, my name is Emily, and I am a they. I am also a bisexual, and I really like video games, and I really like talking about queer themes and stories and how video games can support, queer creativity and also as a medium for telling stories that is more accessible than other kinds of creativity, like movies and music. It's maybe a little, there's also, I'm getting ahead of myself now because now I'm thinking about the accessibility problems in gaming for queer devs, which is it's a whole different conversation. But especially because today we have a narrative game to look at, which is an extremely common format for queer devs to sort of cut their teeth on game building, and especially because so many of us are just desperate to tell a story, and so narrative gaming seems like the way to go. That's not about me. That's about the stream and what we're gonna do. I'm a cartoonist and I'm gay and I like this stuff, so we're gonna talk about it. The goddamn black bat runs back in with a rainbow flag trailing behind her. Yes, good. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I'm still trying to...
We're both are you good? Are we good?
Are you
good? Is everything fine? Yeah.
Okay.
Come on in, yeah. Shit, sorry. Bomb.
So I have a special desk, and the desk is motorized.
He's got
and so
a motorized superhero desk.
I accidentally
pressed the button with my chair arm. And it went like he's Batman. I love this Batman desk.
Yeah. So in case there are folks who are new to IG in general, welcome and thank you for swinging by. My name's Josh. I run Intelligame.us. It's a game culture criticism site where we spend time talking about games and the intersections between games and reality. The cool thing about Intelligame is that it for a long time has been sort of just me in the space. Or correction, on screen it's been just me in the space, but the focus has been pretty much since its inception to create a community space where people can come together and talk about the things that are important to them in games and to take games a little bit more seriously. So
and that's where I come in.
Right? Em is the most serious.
That's right.
So we have Emily came to me a few weeks ago with an idea for a show, and I was like, this sounds really cool. So my goal my goal is to basically just like help them handle chat and stuff like that, and otherwise let you do your thing. They've got a really awesome lineup of games and ideas to talk about. And we also thought that, particularly since it's Black History Month, that it would be exceptionally responsible for us to, and really just exciting to lead off with discussing some of those intersections that can take place between race and sexuality. And this is...
how those make games.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being willing to like use Intelligame as a space to be able to explore all this discussion.
I'm very grateful to be able to use Intelligame. I'm a huge fan of this community, which I'm grateful to be a member of as well as a fan of. And I think the folks here are going to really appreciate the gaming content that I've curated just for you for this special show.
Cool.
Yeah. So I guess it's time then. I've told you everything I think I have to say about who I am and why we're here. So let's move on and introduce Rachél.
All right.
With the click of a button.
I think I know how to... Wait, no, I do know how to do this.
Wait.
Almost there.
There she is. Now we have to hear her. Yay! We've done it!
Sorry, I was listening the entire time, so I was just reacting to everything that's happening. It was just like, yeah, I got this. Oh, no, I don't got this. Oh, shit. No. Sorry about that. Hi, I'm Rachél Bazelais. I am a indie game developer and advocate for people of underrepresented groups, genders, and also, I forgot my tagline. I'm sorry. Blah, blah, blah.
Spiel.
It's one of those things. It's one of those days. Right. Yes. So I make games. I'm also a former podcast host of the Games, Seriously podcast. So when you're talking about taking games seriously, that was literally the entire point of our entire podcast. It's good. It's a good time.
No wonder you sound like you know what you're doing. Because you do know what you're doing when you're talking into a microphone.
Bleh. that is how I like podcast and like kind of like game my way all over the place. But yes, I'm so excited to be here and to talk about my internally old game, The Hill, and kind of give you whatever you would like to know about the game, about myself, about my advocacy works, and just hang out.
Yay! I'm very excited.
Hi, chat.
Would you like to read, or would you like me to read as we're moving through the game? Yes. Sorry, the game. Not just...
I did not think about that until now. All right. I think.
Oh,
would you be comfortable reading it?
I would be totally comfortable reading. Yeah.
Okay, because it's gonna get pretty intense.
Yeah. Yes, this game. I think it'll say on the page when we pull it up, but there's some content warning for this game. For depictions of war and violence, I guess. Yeah.
Also for just to take care of our players, trigger warnings for explicit like descriptions of things that are happening within the game. It's a story that takes place in a war zone, so that's we wanted to make sure we took care of the player, and give them a bit of forewarning about that. So definitely include the content warnings. Please.
Do you think you want to talk about sort of like the lead up to the game and the design process before we play or after we play?
I think after. I figure yeah.
Okay. All right, let's do the thing. I got to figure out how to drive the bus.
from a different seat. All right. I can drive that way. This is the hill.
And real quick,
Oh, yes. There they are.
folks in chat, if you can let us know how the sound levels are.
Yeah.
Because we always have issues with sound checks. So if you're having trouble hearing anybody, like, please let us know. This is our first stream for this. We've got a new setup, and so anything that we can fix to make the quality better, if anything's getting blocked on the screen, like, please let us know and we'll take care of that.
Are you looking in the wrong camera? It's all the same. So yeah, keep tabs on us. Tell us if we sound bad or if we sound good. Here are the trigger warnings. This game features intense fictional violence. This may be a trigger for persons that may suffer from anxiety, depression, or PTSD. If you need any resources after playing this game, this is a list of hotline numbers you might find useful. I think we'll go ahead and pop that up after we're done playing.
It'll take you back to the screen.
Perfect. Continue. You walk up to a hill of crosses at the end of the day. The sun is setting behind you, and you scratch your neck, uncomfortable with the heat on your skin. A thick breeze wafts around you as you cross the street, and you protect the bundle of flowers in your hands. And now we have some choices. Look around you, examine the crosses, or read the sign at the top of the hill. I am going to read the sign at the top of the hill. In memory of 2,867 U.S. troops killed in Iraq, you read to yourself. Upon further examination, a small bouquet of flowers and American flag have been haphazardly placed near the sign, yet don't seem out of place themselves. Still, the stark righteousness of the sign above the memorial gives you an uneasiness you cannot shake. You shake your head as though to clear your thoughts and refocus on the task at hand. Return to the Hill of Crosses. We've already done this. Let's look around. You walk further into the hill and look back over the street. The BART station looks empty at this time of day, and cars rarely pass by.
The BART station? So is this taking place in, like, around San Francisco?
I presume so, yeah. Yes, for those of you who don't know, the BART is the public transportation system in San Francisco. Cars rarely pass by. The occasional pedestrian looks up and offers a strange glance at you, the trespasser on the hill. But you pay them no mind. And after a few moments, once they realize that occasionally people have a reason to visit a memorial for dead soldiers, the pedestrians shake their head and move on. Return to the Hill of Crosses. Now it's time to examine the crosses. As you meander through the crosses, you begin to realize how much of a misnomer the Hill of Crosses is in reality. While the majority are crosses by a mile, Judaic Stars of David, Muslim crescents, Wiccan stars, Buddhist wheels, and other symbols you don't recognize begin to pop out of the sea of white rectangles. Some have the names of the dead, written shakily in hand by family and Sharpie, fading in the sunlight every day. How many were like that and simply returned to white? You stop at a spray-painted rainbow cross, a proud defiant wash of color in the sea of white. Your breath catches in your throat and you wring your wrists. When you look for others, only a few crosses are painted in the gay pride colors, but they are unmarked by names. But there's something calling you to this one, about how the paint refuses to be stripped by the sun, the messiness of it. It feels like the resistance of the life it remembers. A couple of choices. Spread flowers at the cross, write her name on the cross. I'm going to spread flowers at the cross. You still feel pretty numb for only sleeping 2 hours last night. You kneel down and spread the flowers around the cross as though claiming this cross as hers. They're calla lilies, her favorite. You soaked the leaves in bourbon before leaving so that the earth would taste it and send it to her. But Lord forbid you'd be seen in public with a brown paper bag like that. You think she'd laugh at you? Oops. Hit the dust shield. You think she'd laugh at you if she heard that you soaked flowers in bourbon to put at a memorial for her. Come to think, it does sound a bit ridiculous. You glance at the crosses next to you, covered in fake flowers head to toe. You wonder if those were someone's favorite flowers. If you smelled them, what they would smell like. If they would smell like flowers or someone's favorite perfume or chocolate, or if they too would have the familiar odor of hard liquor. Return to the cross. And now we will write her name on the cross. You feel tears swell behind your eyes when you take out the pen. Ooh.
Well, hey, thank you, Captain Romance 6, for that sub. That's
Boy, that's a tension popper,
that
if ever.
Yeah, wow.
It's good.
I was feeling a little nervous there, but I guess now things are okay.
I was like, oh my god, what happened?
Thank you for that
Wow,
sub. Thank you.
That was
for
thank you so
supporting the
much.
channel.
Welcome. Yeah. You're totally fine.
We'll have to,
Now I know that yeah.
No, we appreciate
Have money
it.
break tension. Yeah,
Right.
perfect. Mwah. Is everyone good? Are we all fine? Get your tissue break. Here we go. Things are about to get real. You feel tears swell behind your eyes when you take out the pen. Your fingers brush against weathered papers, the last words you ever read from her. You stop yourself and look away, gathering breath. Her name will be written with the elegance and care it deserves. Just because she's gone doesn't mean you get to write her name like a 4-year-old.
Oh, jeez, I could never write it. My handwriting's trash.
Same.
Chin scratch. Breathing deep again, you take out the pen and look at the cross with surgical eyes and remember how your mom taught you to write thank you notes. You add a thoughtful serif to the letters where it feels necessary, a flourish at the end of an H, the tips of an I, an L, the tips of an L. The final S ended with a small curl. Nora Grace Williams was now immortalized on the Hill of Crosses. Breaking the immersion for a moment here, I had a small heart attack the first time I read this because I have a very dear friend who is named Nora Williams. And I was like,
Oh no!
this is okay.
Too real.
Yeah, it's just, it was
Too-
like, ooh,
sorry about your
brought me
first-
into it. Like, how'd you get the first
Sorry.
and the last name? How did you do that?
To be fair, before we go back in, also know that I am not the sole developer of this game.
Ah,
I'm the game designer. My writer, who's also a queer woman, Jennifer Alloway, wrote this story, and this is actually a real place that was near where she grew up.
Mm.
So there are like details and accents and things pulled from obviously real life, but this is all fiction. It
Sure.
never happened.
Was she
Also
inspired by the place then? Like, that's where the story came from?
Yeah, there's actually a section after the game is through where you can find more information on the actual hill.
Perfecto.
Mm.
Yeah, I can hear what you mean about it sounding like it was written by someone who knows this place in real life. There's definitely details in here, like the soaking flowers in bourbon and a couple other of bits of dialogue later on that like really make it feel grounded, like as if someone was definitely there. Nora Grace Williams was now immortalized on the Hill of Crosses. You fiddle with her dog tags under your dress and heave a tearful sigh. The sun has set, casting a long shadow on the crescents and wheels around the cross you claimed. I have to go, sugar, you say slowly. I don't know when I'll be back. 9 months earlier. The Iraqi heat beats hard against your face. Wincing, you raise a hand to block the sun and examine your surroundings. Your translator, Specialist Amir Zahawi, excuse me, is leaning against a wall, talking with a kid from the village named Halim. Healthcare specialist Effie Zhang was checking her stock in her kit while tossing jokes with the RTO, Elias Gonzalez. You hear Gonzalez shrug off a jab and report back to Command on the radio.
You're fine.
A gust of wind sends hot sand biting into everyone. You bite down on the urge to cuss and duck into the Humvee, trying not to scare the kid, but Gonzalez shows less restraint. It's his first tour, and it's obvious the strain is getting to him. Can we hurry the fuck up already? This shit's dangerous, he snaps, looking down the deserted road way on the outskirts of town. Command doesn't want us out late. Stay calm, all right? Al-Zahawi retorts calmly, putting a hand on Halim protectively. We're getting important information, but it takes time with children. Amir, we were called in for an IED, Zhang levels evenly. Does he know where that is or not? A choice. Intervene or stay silent. Let's intervene.
Oh, I was sorry. Real quick, that choice is kind of interesting because the other choices that we've made in the past seem to loop back into the main storyline. But
Yeah.
this is like one of the first ones that seems like it is an actual like divergent path.
Yeah, and that's this whole section is like that. Right. This flashback section. The choices we make sort of, I've gathered, based on my first playthrough, determine the specific story of this flashback section.
Yeah, it's definitely an unfolding narrative.
Yeah.
And depending on how many playthroughs, you could you could gather like what's different at the end of each one of them, but there are minor details that actually matter. Well, I guess maybe not that minor. It's been a while.
You sigh and look at your bomb suit inside the armored car. You're running out of time. You bite your lip and wait for a response from Al-Zahawi. When moments pass and none comes, you look at your comrades with a strict face and come close to him and the boy. I should have stopped and looked up how to pronounce these names before I did this. I'm sorry, everyone, as I'm sure, butchering these names.
That is fair.
What have you found? You level to him, the evenness of your voice broken by the lilt of your southern drawl. He's scared to mention things specifically. He doesn't want his family to be targeted, Al-Zahawi describes to you, brows furrowing as he machinates on the situation. I'm trying the standard evasive questions. If he's seeing any random wires, piles of trash, he's nervous. Well, he's the one who called us, right? You sigh, breathing out some air. Look, we're here to protect this town. That includes him. If he helps us, we can do that a lot easier. I hear you, Williams, he says quickly, before trying something again in Arabic. Halim concentrates on a tree trunk in the street, before replying with a point and a few sentences. With a big sigh, Al-Zahawi replies, he noticed the wires 200 meters from here, 5 steps left from the fruit stand. The owner of the fruit stand knows his family. They can't know he helped us. Thank the boy and get to work, or ignore the boy and get to work. Let's thank the boy and get to work. You sigh and shake your head. Where's his family? You ask, scanning the area Amir mentioned. It bears all the hallmarks of an IED. Halim had good eyes. After Amir spoke with Halim for a moment, he replied, 3 blocks the other way. It's probably safest for him to go home now. We have a plan, Williams? Gonzalez called from behind. If we can't do this in the next 20, Command wants us back. You dig into your pockets and pull out some pop rocks, a favorite of yours from home, and one of the only things that'll hold up in this damn heat. You give Halim the pack, and his eyes light up at the candy. Smiling, he mentions some things to Amir before scampering back towards his home. You watch him as he runs back, scampering along the roadway with newfound energy. His feet kick up dirt and trash along the way. As you watch his path, one piece of trash bulges strange on the road. The dirt in the road seems to glisten differently in the sun. Is the light playing tricks on you? Tell Halim to stop, or let him go. I'm going to make the same decision that I made in my first playthrough of the game because it is my knee-jerk reaction. It is what I would do. Tell Halim to stop. Tell Halim to stop, you tell Amir with firm urgency in your voice, stepping forward, ready to grab Gonzalez and pull him behind the truck. What? Amir pauses mid-sentences, raises his gaze to you. Tell Halim to stop! You repeat, louder, firmer, quicker, not even bothering to glance at him. Your stomach sinks like stones. You hear Al-Zahawi call out the word. The same fear and urgency that strained your voice felt quoted into his. The boy froze in his steps. You look down the road. 5 paces. The boy was 5 paces from becoming no more than pebbles on the sidewalk. Tell him he's 5 paces from dying, you say coldly. You begin shutting down now. It's time to do the job. Holy Mother of Christ, Gonzalez whispers before getting on the radio. Command, this is Delta. We have a situation. Focus team on the bomb. Focus team on helping Halim get out.
So you said you went through this already. What was your mindset when you got to this point? Like, how are you feeling your first time through?
I was feeling a mix of things. I was feeling nervous because I was invested, and I also knew what my choices... I assumed that I knew what my choices were going to mean, that I was about to tell the story of this woman's death. Mm-hmm. And I found myself, like, concerned about making choices that would, like, honor her memory, like, make her tell the right story about her. But I was also feeling frustrated and upset because I knew that no matter what choices I made here, I was telling the story of this woman's death. I knew what the end for this character was going to be, no matter what kind of choice I made.
Sure.
And that hurt. I wanted to help her get out. I wanted to make the choices that would make her live, which is like your video game instinct, right? Like, okay, succeed in the QuickTime event, pick the right dialogue option so that you can move forward. But that's not what kind of game this is. That's not what kind of story this is. So I had to, like, wrestle with both of those things at the same time.
Sure.
Yeah. How are you feeling? Really... Oh, yeah. Sorry, Rachél. Go ahead.
Go for it.
How are you feeling?
I thought it was really interesting because it's not the first time watching someone play this game, but it's also like there's a lot of tension built in this narrative, and dealing with that tension and going, what choices do I make given I'm feeling this tension and going through the story is a little different than how I would play other games. So totally. I feel like at the time I was also playing a lot of Telltale games, and that informed like how we wanted to go about the story because we knew we were kind of writing a memoriam rather than a hero's journey. Yeah. Right. But that doesn't mean you don't necessarily get to be you can still be the hero. Right. I guess in a sense. But this is also to like not glorify like any kind of like war setting. Like a lot of these a lot of the emotions and things going on in the scene is focused around the people.
Right.
Yeah, I've been curious over sort of the course of the narrative how much like this seems to be very detailed and sort of how much experience the author had in terms of like with the military or if they knew somebody who had been enlisted, sort of where they got these ideas and these themes from. Can you? I know you didn't write it, but can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah. And that was actually one of the things that we struggled with like creating these stories because, like I said, they're not real stories, but this place is a real place, and it could be like pulled from a very real sense of how we think these situations would run. But neither of us are military or veterans, right? I have a lot of veterans in my family. But that doesn't necessarily give me the right to perpetuate the narrative of the military person or the veteran who's come back home or who's like had to sacrifice to do other things, as well as like the politics of even being over there in the first place. Right. And we wanted to make sure this game was not about killing anyone. It wasn't about a political narrative. It was about people in this situation doing their job and doing like and being human in it. Yeah. If that answers your question, I'm not sure.
Did all of her specifics come just from research then?
Lots of research.
Yeah. Cool.
Hours and hours of research. This was also like this is a game jam game. So we made this in like 48 hours.
Oh my god.
It was supposed to be a visual novel, but our artist got sick. And she's still like really awesome and still making art and things, but we had to change the makeup of what we thought the story was going to be, and we focused solely on the narrative. And I can design around that, I guess. So I had like this script. I had a huge script over a Google Doc, and with each event going on, at first it read like a book, and then I turned it into a twine game, and then I managed the emotions and the tension going throughout. Wow. Each click, each page, each decision. Where do we split this? How do we split this? Does this seem too narrow? Like,
yeah,
that was probably like one of the more fun design things that I've gotten to do in a long time.
It's very successfully done. Like I know that you didn't write this game, and maybe you don't consider yourself a writer, but like that takes story smarts to know when to make these beats and when to hold the emotion and when to move on with it. And I think you did a great job, personally.
Oh, cool. Well, I suppose back to you.
Back to that game. Now we have a choice to make. Focus team on bomb or focus team on helping Halim get out. The last time I played, I did focus team on helping Halim get out, and I think this time I'm going to do focus team on bomb.
And Unseen Academical says in chat, the research really shows. So.
Yeah, it really does. This feels, like I said, as if someone could have reasonably been there. All right, we need to make sure these buildings are clear of people, you say immediately. Amir, start knocking on doors and getting the street clear by 200 meters. If you see anything that looks remotely like that, then stay back and report to me. Amir looked grimly at Halim, standing frozen in the road, yelling at him for help. The boy? You sigh and pinch at your eyes. I can't help him until we kill the bomb. I'll do my end, you do yours. We'll all go home happy? Amir nods at you with a shorn look before calling out to Halim and beginning his duty. Zhang approached wordlessly with the bomb suit, and you step into it with a weary quickness. You breathe your last breath of decent air before the helmet descends, and the baking temperature is set to 107. Come in, you say out of habit as you wait for a response over the speakers. What show tune do I sing today? Not today, Williams. Just come back, Gonzalez says. You approach the bomb, and Halim is in the way of your ideal path. Excuse me. You level with him, putting a gentle hand on his arm before gesturing the path he should go. You do not wait for him before getting on your belly and gently crawling toward the wires. Halim looks about skittishly before bouncing back down the road and diving into a window. You brace, the wire in your fingers, hoping this isn't the last thing you see. As you follow the wire, you realize this is an unusual, potentially strenuous setup, as one cable branches into an endless spaghetti of wires. Report, Williams? Al-Zahawi is still clearing the houses, Effie calls over the radio. You bite your lip, measuring the right action. Defuse the bomb. 1 inch at a time. You follow the wire along the dirt and pull it pressurelessly. When it curves, you curve. When it stops, you stop. The cord halts at a pile of inconspicuous trash in the road, and you sigh, picking at the trash with tweezers for fingers until it's no longer there. Soda cans. A 6-pack buried in the sand, wires stuffed into the holes of each of them. You groan and rock your head into your helmet. Why now? Why today? Why couldn't it just be a canister with a trigger pin? Update, Williams. Gonzalez heard your frustration. Impatient or young in command, he knew what he was doing. How long has it been since you had some good pop? You ask as you begin snipping the detonation wires from the first pin. Fuck. Coke bombs? Yep. How many, Williams? The kid's halfway here. He's practically crawling. There was a tense calm to his voice. Just finished one, you say, halfway done with your second. How many eyes are on us? Don't know. Effie's watching our back, but we've got a lot of eyes on us. We're scared of something going up in your face, Williams. Hurry the hell up.
Can I... I'm wondering at this point, like, when... And maybe you know this, Rachél, when they said Coke bombs, like, is that a particular, like, style of bomb where all of those are
Coke can, I assume, is what she's, because she was talking about a pack of soda cans.
I didn't know if there was like a way in which all 6 of those are wired together, or if it's,
So here, let me see if I can get you a visual.
No big deal. It's probably not super vital, but it's interesting because I would have never thought of
I had never heard of that setup either. Yeah, like a pack of soda cans wired together.
Well, if you think about like maybe linchpin. Actually, I'm not sure, Unseen Academical. I can definitely ask about that and report back during the second half. It's kind of like, I would say like DIY, like Coke or like chlorine experiments. So things like that. So if you think about like when you were a kid and they're trying to teach you about a specific concept and they ask you to put Mentos in a bottle of Coke, right? Something like that. So it's kind of like something that the audience would be familiar with in the sense of just practical sense of like, what do you think like a 6-pack of Cokes look like? Right now we think more plastic, but before it was more like cans.
The aluminum,
Yep. And then that aluminum could carry shrapnel or anything like that.
Right.
Ironically, plastic wouldn't really help, but it's just like the weird like headspace that you get into, like game designer wise, when stuff like this comes up, and then it's like, okay, let me make sure incognito is on so I don't get like ads.
What are the contents of a homemade bomb?
Right.
Google.
Dear Google.
I swear,
please tell all your friends.
Yeah. How do I get rid of a body?
Yeah. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
That's right. Oh no.
Yeah, sorry.
Inappropriate.
Yeah.
Diffusing tension with humor.
I mean, there's that, and the fact that the character is like making jokes.
Yeah, she's clearly doing it too. This is a very tense situation for her, and she's obviously used to using a little bit of humor to alleviate that. She's made more than one joke. Now she's approached this like, it's her job to walk up to a thing and think, well, this might be the last thing I see right now, and if I do my job, then it won't be. So you got to have a little something, I guess, to take that edge off.
Kind of like stilling that, Yeah,
that gallows humor. As you pull the third linchpin, you hear noise in your radio. Al-Zahawi seems to be talking to an approaching adult. Voice tones are hostile. You're almost done finishing the bomb, but you have no idea what your team is going through, and the shouting is uncomfortable, perhaps even unsafe. Take a break to check in with your team. Focus on defusing the bomb before helping your team. I'm going to let you make the choice this time.
Oh.
I'd be interested to see what a third party, like, what your instinctual choice is.
Yeah, I think instinctively I would take the break to check in with the team. I still, and this is part of the sort of mechanics of research that probably came with this. I don't understand sort of the timing mechanism of it all. It seems like there is obviously a crunch for time in the sense of like the group has to leave and whatnot. But trying to understand whether or not the trigger would be set by time or set by motion or pressure. And I imagine all of those things are factors in the mind of the person who's diffusing it. But I would hope that if there was something going on contextually around me, that I would figure out what that was in case I needed to adjust my strategy. So
like ticking or Captain Romance.
Focus on the bomb. This is what the training was for.
Captain Romance is feeling otherwise.
Yeah.
I feel that. I mean, the other thing is, like, if you think about, like, even if we take this out of context and, like, think about, like, you're working on a project, like, do you check in with your team or do you trust them to handle the situation and focus on your work? Like, it's more like, do you insert yourself elsewhere or do you dig in deeper?
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I liked about this. At one point, we were thinking about multiple, like, more than 2 choices here, but this seemed the most clear way to divert the player and see where they're going.
Yeah. All right. You want to take a break?
I already
and check
picked
in
my
with
poison.
the team.
Yeah, I already made my
For the
choice.
record, my instinctual first choice in this situation was to focus on defusing the bomb. So that was the route that I went. So I'm going to get to see a different route.
Neat.
You hold the 5th linchpin in your hands and turn around to get a visual on the situation. Y'all, we don't argue at the dinner table, you say, trying to get the voices to stop buzzing in your head. From your visual, you can clearly see a man trying to take Halim, and Halim resisting, clinging to Amir with all he has. Amir is arguing loudly with the man. Gonzalez has a gun up at the stranger while yelling into the radio, and Effie is trying to pull Halim out of the situation. We are at Code Red, Southern Comfort. Effie gets through over the comm. Finish quick and get out of there. There's an urgency in her voice, a panic not often heard. I'm very tense. Of all the jobs you had done, very few just reeked of wrong the way this began to feel. No sooner than you turn back to the last bomb do you hear cell phone in the cacophony on the speaker, and your stomach fills with lead. The full weight of you, your last hopes, and a Kevlar bomb suit are keeping you pressed to the ground. But at this close range, none of that is going to help anyone. I can't get a visual, you hear only as your fingers have fumbled the bomb out of your hands and you've begun to push yourself up. As the can explodes in your face to the chorus of yells in your ear, white noise fills your bloody, ruined eardrums. You think of her, laying on your battle scars, making you feel whole. Write her name. So we're back with the original speaker at the hill. Breathing deep again, you take out the pen and look at the cross with surgical eyes and remember how your mom taught you to write thank you notes. You add a thoughtful serif to the letters where it feels necessary, a flourish at the end of an H, the tips of an L, the final S ended with a small curl. Nora. Nora Grace Williams was now immortalized on the Hill of Crosses. You fiddle with her dog tags under your dress and heave a tearful sigh. The sun is set, casting a long shadow on the crescents and wheels around the cross you claimed. I have to go, sugar, you say slowly. I don't know when I'll be back. The phone rings. How are we doing?
Yeah.
Check in with the... Oops, I keep whacking the thing because I talk with my hands. Check in with the chat. That was an intense moment.
Chat, you okay?
Yeah, chat. Is everyone good? So, when I played through the first time, I chose to focus on defusing the bomb before I got up. And, yeah, Captain Romance, this is extreme. Hotlight, the repeat of the narration with more context there is so impactful. Yeah, I love this callback to that moment before we slipped into it and rewriting her name, and then now we get to finish with her name. We know exactly what it is, and this is a good game, you guys. Yeah, so I chose to focus on defusing the bomb, and what happens there is you do end up defusing the bomb, but the argument with the unknown man at the caravan gets out of control, and Nora is shot by that man. But the bomb does not go off. But that's how that route plays out.
There's a third.
There's a third?
There's
Will
a
you
third.
describe it for us?
Yeah.
Should we finish? Sorry, should we finish before?
Let's finish.
All right, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Got everybody
Yeah.
hanging here. Like,
All right. The phone rings.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. Your phone barges into the silence like an unwelcome passerby, much like the subscription noise. The ringtone of rude awakening to your farewell.
I mean, It was welcome.
It was welcome, yes.
But it was an awkward...
Same energy.
I
same
fixed
energy.
that for the future.
You pause, inhaling and exhaling deep, and focus on the blades of grass before accepting the call.
See? Too late.
Too late. We got you.
I was like, see?
Sniped you.
Thank you for that resub. We appreciate it. But yeah, I went ahead and took care of that.
Gotcha. Hello? Your voice lilts like molasses. It rises up at the end, asking who dared intrude her here. Maybe? Intrude here?
Oh, look, an error. Okay.
That's okay. I'm sorry. Julie, your sister has more to add to the grocery list. You found it, right? This is my favorite line in the whole game. Bessie sounded 50 miles south of Memphis, 80 west of Bon Temp, and 20 miles up her own ass.
Classy.
Yeah, sorry. Ran into an old friend. We were just chatting. You excuse yourself as you shoulder your bag. What else did she want? We're out of milk. She also wants this fancy fruit. They're called gala melons. Some organic frou-frou shit. And she wants almond flour to bake the chicken in. Because Lord forbid we just bread it in real flour and fry it up. Yeah, bless her heart. You wave her off. I'll be back to the place soon. You want anything else? We're out of bourbon, so I guess that. All right, we'll talk soon. As you hang up the phone, you see your face smiling next to hers at the country fair in front of some ungodly fried concoction. Your legs won't move. You feel your heart beat faster, stomach rise in your throat, and your arms begin clenching at anything they can grasp on your body. The gasps and sobs hit you before you feel the tears on your face, and nausea sets in your stomach. All you want is for this to stop. All you want is for this to end. You breathe. You sigh. You clench your teeth, release, and glare at the cross. The ink still dry with her name. You hear that? You choke out. They're out of bourbon. That means I gotta go. In the silence, you hear her voice. Drying your eyes, you take them from the cross and walk away. I'll be back one day, you tell her, unsure who it's meant to comfort. I love you, escapes you with a sense of finality you don't want to hear, but must give. You brush the hay from your knees and walk down from the hill. The wind stills and it falls dark. All was quiet but for the roll of cars in the night. I love you. Thank you for playing... Whack. Thank you for playing a vertical slice of the hill. God. I'm a clown. You can't take me anywhere.
It's just a new setup. It's not your fault. You're
is
still learning
like
how to
the
be in this
cartoon.
space.
Totally.
You're in other spaces. That is also not the most conveniently placed pop filter.
Thank you for playing a vertical slice of the hill. Thank you. This game will continue development after the jam. You can contact we have one of the developers right here. You can contact her right this moment if you want. Disclaimers and more information on the Hill of the Crosses. And back to the beginning. So, yeah. That was the hill.
That was the hill.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to me read your game. That must have been...
That was so good, though.
Wild. Oh, thank you. I like reading. I have a pretty good... If I do say so myself, I have a pretty good reading voice. I have a lot of stage experience, so I have some comfort in that regard.
Is it Southern? Because...
Oh, no.
No, comfort's not Southern.
My comfort is not Southern. The one time I've ever encountered Southern comfort was when I was in college for like 5 minutes in Eugene. And in Eugene, Oregon, which for those of you who don't know that context, is a hippie and college bro town. There's literally the two kind of people that live in Eugene. And it was Earth Day. And I was on in a big meeting area in the campus. And this barefoot... white dreadlock lady, hippie, dances up to me outside of a drum circle, and she has a thermos in her hand, and she hands it over to me, and she goes, "Do you want some?" Just like, no, totally. I'm just like a nobody sitting on the side of the crowd as she's having her dance, and she walks up to me and says, "Do you want some?" And I was like, "What is it?" And she goes, "It's Southern Comfort." And I was like, "What is that?" I didn't even know what that was, and I thought she was telling me like that was a code name for, it's Southern Comfort, wink wink.
Wait.
And she goes, "No, it's bourbon," or whatever it is. Southern Comfort is.
It's bourbon.
Yeah, it's bourbon, and so I had a sip for Southern Comfort, and then the hippie danced away from me, and that's my only encounter with Southern Comfort.
I just want to confirm that you didn't think it was bourbon. You thought it was a code for something you didn't know.
Yeah.
And
Correct.
you still thought, yes, this is something I should try.
Well, that's why I asked her what it was.
Oh, okay. So she
I
said
clarified
it's bourbon.
that. Yeah,
okay.
she said it's Southern Comfort, and I said, well, "Okay, what's that?"
Okay, I was
said it's
afraid that
bourbon.
you were like, okay.
Yeah,
what was
I was
that?
like,
I was like,
"Oh,
that's not,
mystery liquid from a
you
stranger."
shouldn't-
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, like
Kids, you should always
don't
drink
live
the
in
mystery
Eugene.
liquid that the stranger hands you.
But that doesn't
Obviously,
sound like
that's how I've
anything-
survived 30 years. Is I always drink the mystery liquid
Yeah.
from the stranger.
That sounds terrifying.
No, yeah.
That is terrifying.
Hotlight says it's bourbon and rum. Is it? Isn't it just a
Yeah,
brand of bourbon?
Yeah, it's.
Is bourbon and rum mixed together?
I think so. Yeah, so, Southern Comfort is a danger.
It's a whole, yeah.
It's a
Okay,
danger.
all right. Now I can see
Yeah.
why people treat it the way they treat it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also, hey, Silent Strange and Hotlight and Captain Romance and yeah, it's good to see you.
Hotlight
Also-
says it's a devil of a liqueur. With like 4 more letters, I think, than the word liqueur has. College is a
You gotta
weird
do
time.
like extra like.
Liqueur. It's got a good mouthfeel, that word. Liqueur.
I feel like mouthfeel is one of those phrases that does not have at least good ear feel. I don't. There's never a time that somebody has made a reference to mouthfeel, and I've been like, yeah, that was a positive use. That was a good way.
Bad ear feel to hear
use
the word
that.
mouth feel. Goddamn Blackback. What did I come back to? This is an ASMR stream now. Mouth feel.
Wait,
Yeah, some tapping, some scratching. No one ever mentions the mouth feel. Correct.
oh.
What is the mouth? The moot feel. I'm
No, I know,
yeah,
but
okay.
it just hurts my soul.
Oh, I just imagine. You didn't even have headphones on, and you're just like, ah.
It's just.
So I'm sorry, Hotlight. I'm not trying to like run you up the flagpole or anything. We're all doing fine. I'm also over here saying mouth feel, so I think
Stop,
we're on
please
equal
stop.
footings right now. So I do have some questions. Should I just jump in? What? What do you want?
I want to say thank you first. We got to the end of the game. I wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
I am failing at keeping a straight
I'm
face.
sorry. I don't know. I should be learned. Like, keep quiet. Just. I'm here.
Say what you hear you.
No.
Here's your moment. Take your moment.
Thank you
To whom?
to Rachél and the team for making the game.
Thank you to Rachél and your team for making this wonderful game so that we can play it on this stream and utterly humiliate ourselves on the internet.
I mean, the whole playthrough was very solid. As soon as we stopped playing the game, that's when we got into the shenanigans.
That's true. Yeah, we did treat the game seriously and with reverence. Unseen Academical, it was really good. Yeah, the game has a good mouth feel and produced strong mouth feel. God damn it.
If I didn't use this napkin, I'd throw it at you.
Goddamn Black Bat says we need a mouthfeel command.
Pizza.
Yeah,
pizza.
the mouthfeel of cilantro.
I am really glad.
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm ending this stream. You obviously proven yourself irresponsible. Ask your question.
I'm the stream gremlin.
Hey, Mojo Ceratops, thank you for that sub. Thank
Yeah,
you for
welcome.
supporting.
I'm sorry. This is reminiscent of how the Until Dawn stream ended up too. Was just with me becoming a stream gremlin and making everything very difficult.
No, it's fun. It's also
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and now I'm gonna shut up again.
No, you're good. We're all good. All right. So moving onward from this whole thing, ASMR equals subs. Thank you, Captain Romance. People want the mouth sounds. So I did have some questions for Rachél, and some of the things I wanted to ask about did actually come up naturally as we were playing the game, which was cool. I wasn't expecting that to happen, but I really enjoyed those sort of organic moments where we were like, ooh, let's stop and talk about how this feels or what's going on here. For example, the first question that I had was what inspired the story of the hill? And now we know that the writer lived close to this actual location and was inspired to try to tell a story about the kind of person who might be there. Have you personally gotten any responses or feedback to the hill that like really stood out to you that you remember?
Yes. It was mostly about the pacing of the story and like how like there are certain areas of it where I'm able to play with the tension a little bit and completely like change like from moment to moment, focusing on different characters. And it's not something that we played through here tonight, but on the other end of the story, there are several other branches where you kind of get more of Gonzalez and Williams's relationship, and kind of like how they communicate with each other and kind of what that headspace is like, because it's coming from her perspective in a way. So that was pretty. It was fun, but in the sense it was also like this is the first game where I feel like I've had complete design control. Because we know the story, but the story could be told like several other ways.
Sure.
And I think that was probably like the coolest feedback that I got, especially from like other like, since I'm not on the narrative side, I'm on the design side. It's kind of it was a little validating. It was nice, felt good. It was just one of those things.
Cool.
Josh, are you playing with the lights?
Yeah, Josh is playing.
I'm trying to help, but I think I'm harming.
So the problem that we have with lighting, the two of us, is that as you
black.
may have noticed, Josh and I are not of equal skin tones.
Technology wasn't made for this situation.
When I sit right in front of the light, I am just a glowing orb of nothingness, and when he is not right in front of the light, we struggle to see him because it's bullshit.
Yeah, because technology was made for white folks.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
to be fair,
video
I've
capture
created
technology
my own
in particular.
makeshift like light filter here. But it's actually the wall and the angle at the wall that hits the light. The light's actually facing away from me, and it's hitting the wall, and it's actually hitting my face.
Woo!
Oh, we're just gonna...
that's
Spooky stream.
Yeah.
Spooky stream.
Yes, it's atmosphere.
Oh, that's much better,
There we go.
I think.
Lighting 101 with Intelligame. Yep, exactly. Also, thanks to Adept777 for that sub. Welcome. Yes, Kim Chica. Hello.
You know that I'm an anime character now.
You're an anime. Wow. We're all anime characters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Dun dun dun. Yeah, we realized when we were doing video tests earlier that Rachel's glasses are glinting in the way an anime villains might if they were laying eyes on their rival, about to pull out their sword or something. Yeah, you determinedly push them up with one finger and then you unleash the Hadouken or whatever. Oh, thanks for dropping the link to the game. Yeah, so yeah, hi Kim Chica, welcome. We just played The Hill, and there's a link to it in the chat so that other people can go play it now. My phone closed. My list of interview questions. Have you made other games with queer themes before? I asked that because on your Itch.io page, which you can all get to through this link, which I'm gesturing to in real space as if you can see. That's the link right there, because I can't help it. Your other games do not have queer themes. So I was wondering if you had others in your repertoire.
Honestly, I don't, because I don't get to work with narrative designers as much. Mm-hmm. To be fair, like
sure.
A lot of my games are game jam creations. Some of them I'll spend either like an extra week or two on, but this was a chance to do something purely for a narrative design game jam, and it was good. And then a lot of times you also run into like you have like cool games with cool mechanics and no story whatsoever.
Yeah.
Which is like, I'd rather there be no story than there be a not even bother to think up a story kind of situation. And that's something I end up seeing a lot, unfortunately.
Sure.
So this is my only queer narrative game, but it's probably not my last. It's just when I have the opportunity to make them, I will.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that we actually tell these stories because a lot of the time it's kind of swept under the rug in that sense.
Sure.
Where, especially in an environment that the Hill is like kind of created in, we get much less of the actual characters, the actual humans behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that one of the main takeaways that Jen wanted to have from this is that a lot of these kinds of narratives get excluded from the media because they're not military narratives, or they're not targeted by very like specific, often white conservative audience, and we miss out on a lot of these like hidden gems or like hidden figures in the sense of the military. Even though this is not, you know, a black character per se, she is from the South, right? Like there's a lot of details about her within this that I feel like we're able to bring out, and you get to know Nora even though she's no longer around.
Yeah.
And I guess the other part of that is like it's also not meant to be like a commentary of the actual systems of war and like the corruption.
Sure.
And so many of like the machines that kind of like everything just gets garbled up into.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure we like took a step back from what usually gets overwritten by propaganda and talk about humane stories and how humans are within this space. At least how we thought they were, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, like, again, about the perpetuating military narrative thing. But yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people naturally assume that queers in the military don't mix. And in some ways that may be true, but there are all kinds of people in the military. And it's, I really appreciated getting this kind of spotlight on, like, remembering the different kinds of humans, like real people with inner lives that are involved in these, like you said, these terrible machines, these institutions. And there's a lot of commentary on the terrible machines, but not nearly as much commentary, or not even commentary, but like spotlight, like I said, on the individuals, like the human power that is in there deserves our interest and our compassion as well.
Also, there's, I think the you know, to that note, I think it also sort of underscores that intersectionality aspect. A friend of mine, Sarah, gracious, I wonder if I've ever technically known her last name, but
she's heard it said out loud.
SA_ROUX on Twitter. But she works for 343 Industries as she works as an artist there, and that's the team that does Halo.
Oh, okay.
But also a Marine and non-binary and identifies as queer, and has said that there have been a number of ways that she has been able to, like, there are conversations that she's able to speak to, not just as a queer person, but also like as a Marine now in crossing over into the civilian sector that have been really important. And it's really cool. It's just it's great to see those different ways that taking these different experiences and having different people in those spaces can help to really improve the space as a whole. And I think I hope it'll do well for Halo, like especially for video games where we have so many games that are like drummed up in military culture.
Yes.
You know, those are spaces where we should have people who know what they're talking about, but also are speaking to ways to like represent well. So I'm really thankful for that. Shout out, Sarah. You're doing awesome.
Sarah's really cool.
Hotlight says, I had several openly gay friends in the military before the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and at least one who came out as trans after 7 years of service. Yeah, for sure. yeah, non-binary Marine. Yeah. There's all kinds of humans in the military, and for all kinds of reasons. Like,
Yeah, all kinds of different reasons, and from all different cultures too.
yeah,
Like, I think if you think of a Marine, you think of like a straight white guy,
Totally.
straight cis white guy. Like,
Yep.
it's this image that has been perpetuated. It's like that's not all there is.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Sorry, I was reading Highlights comments.
Yeah, Hotline also says, especially the trans woman did not have an easy time with the culture of homophobia, but she was also one of the best people at her job on the boat. Yeah, and it is not easy to be queer in the military either, unless you like really luck into being able to totally surround yourself with people who can understand you. But that's not obviously how the military works. You don't get to choose who every single person around you is. You don't get to curate your experiences that way. So yeah, and there is, I personally do not have queer friends in or who used to be in the military, but I do have cishet friends who used to be in the military who would tell me just the most horrifying stories about how they would talk to each other and the cultures, the subcultures that existed there, the sort of stuff that was able to grow because of the environment that it was, and cultures of homophobia and transphobia and racism and all those things that happen when you put humans in a room together. Yep. As it turns out, especially humans in a system who are like trying to be molded into the same person, your differences tend to really stand out in that environment and call more attention to them.
My dad
don't know where I was going with that.
there's also like a lot of things just like coming back from that, and then being a civilian, and then having kids, and then doing weird stuff, like in the sense of like just concepts of how you perceive information and how you expect to be treated as a civilian versus when you were on the ship. Lots of secondhand experiences for me, but it's something that people look through, and things that we should also talk more about.
Well, on the more technical side of things, what tools do you use, Rachél, to make your video games?
Okay, well, this one's specifically Twine. Like I said, it was supposed to be a visual novel, but that didn't happen. And I mean, when you're making games anyway, it's okay. What's the scope of your game? All right, now cut it in half. Okay, now cut it in half again. So that's how the hill was made.
Oh, that's good advice. Okay, and that's how you is that how you approach game jam games, like where you've got a time limit, or all of your projects in general?
I want to say all of my projects. Mostly because it's easier to divide up into chunks of things that you can do rather than this looks like an insurmountable hill that I've just set up for myself.
Sure.
So that's a bit of a like project management thing, but also like being able to make sure all this information stays within the team. Like whether it's like with me and Jen, it was just like 2-3 people. We had a musician at one point. It was an interesting game jam. And my other teams, I think the largest team that I've worked on in the game jam was around 7 people, right? So if the idea gets too big, then you have 7 people going into like several different big directions, just every other direction you could possibly think of.
Yeah.
So if you keep the scope small, you're able to kind of control the vision of that project and help everybody get their ideas in order so they can come to fruition in an actual product, in a thing. The thing that we made and we worked on together. But when it comes to tools, aside from Twine, I also use Unity. Unity Engine has kind of been like a big thing, especially because I'm from the East Coast. So in New York, Unity has funded a lot of the meetups and the like events there. So Unity is New York City is a big Unity city in that sense. But I've also learned Unreal Engine. I've made a VR game in Unreal. And it was just like really fun, but it's also a different side of the same coin in that sense. 2 big engines, different ways of approaching development and whatnot.
Sure.
And then the third or the last one is sort of just like plain old JavaScript, HTML, CSS, or a framework called Phaser, which way back when I was doing stuff for Code Liberation, but we'll get into that a bit later.
Did you teach yourself all these tools?
Most of them. Most of them. JavaScript and Phaser I learned through an organization that I first started making games with, which is what I just mentioned. It's called the Code Liberation Foundation.
Yeah.
And they are basically a catalyst of welcoming more women, people of different gender identities into games via programming, music, code, whatever it is. It's a way to share information and make sure all those resources actually reach the people who want them.
Cool.
In which case, it's all free. So we have like an online repository of all of our like classes or all of our coursework from the force slides. Every class that we've ever taught at NYU is up there for everyone's perusal. But that was a while ago, so I'm not sure how updated the Unity courses are, but they're still relevant because Unity hasn't changed. Like, it's changed a lot in the sense of things that what you could do, but the fundamentals are still, like, how you get started are still the same.
Do you teach?
I used to.
Video game stuff?
Yeah, video game stuff. I started with JavaScript and Phaser, and that was the first thing I learned. So, like, with this organization, they kind of inspired me. They told me that there was a place for me in games, that I could also, like, make stuff and program cool things and just kind of, like, stick my head in the clouds if I wanted to. Not everything had to be grounded in reality.
Yeah.
And that gave me a space to explore this and learn more about JavaScript and Phaser, and then eventually that moved on to Unity. Captain Romance, that would be, let me give you a link here, because that's the slides. Let me do the actual, yeah. And
Rachél is, on that link stuff. Yep.
Right?
There you go.
Code Liberation.
Doing that link foo.
Link foo.
Link foo.
Well, I mean, because people always say Google foo, but I'm like, yo, there are other folks out
There's
there.
other ways to Google.
That don't want to take all your
Google.
data. I'm not saying, just saying. DuckDuckGo. Not saying, just saying.
Yeah.
But DuckDuckGo foo is not catchy.
Yeah, so what the organization is doing now, since we're not heavily active in New York anymore, we used to be sponsored by the NYU Games Center, which is part of their games program there. They have an MFA and they have a BFA. This is now kind of hunkered down in the UK. One of our founders, Phoenix Perry, is heading up the game development and kind of interactive coding MFA there. I forgot the precise name of it, but she's basically created a whole new space for Code Liberation where we have labs. We also have like yearly shows at like museums, and all the people that come into our programs get to show off their games there. Some of them has gone to join me at GDC. We've also like shown up at other conferences like Intelligame and Games for Change, and kind of having a space in areas where people are like curious about games but not sure if they can like come back into games.
Yeah.
Like, we've had a huge diversity of people when it comes to who comes to our program, and having like a diversity of age. Like, we've had people who've just started out. Like, I've taught a class of ages, not even a class, like a whole full one-day workshop in Oakland of ages 6 all the way up to like 15 years old. And we have different, like, I trained all of the instructors to give our content and teach girls how to code using Phaser and JavaScript. So
That's
there's
awesome.
like totally, like, there are different sides to it. So
Yeah.
at one point you have the university organization, then you also have like us lending our resources to other, like in conjunction with other organizations like Black Girls Code, to like bring all of our, not just our content, but just like how to get started. Like a lot of this stuff is basically that barrier is when you first get into games, it's just like I have no idea what this is, what all these buttons are. I don't know what to do with them, and it'll just like give you a nice little springboard in how to get started. And that's kind of like how I got started. So I always like telling that story.
Aw, that's super cool. And a great segue, you've mentioned Black Girls Code as well as Code-Liberation now. Do you have any other organizations or resources you'd like to plug?
So resources-wise, for the Code-Liberation resources, I could post that in the chat too.
I'll look up links for you.
There's one of my favorite organizations right now, and one that I'm also working with, is called the Game Devs with Color Expo. And that is also based in New York, in Harlem, where all of
a good show.
I follow them on Twitter.
I love them so much. It's basically honestly, it's a group of my friends who did an awesome thing and made the conference that they wanted to be a part of.
You had such good feedback for that show, Josh, when you...
No, the show's fantastic. I took my first trip to New York because of Game Devs of Color Expo, and I don't regret a dime or a minute. It was amazing to have a space where that was really centered on... I didn't realize that I was missing that in the years that I had gone to different game dev to different conventions as a journalist, to just be around other people where people of color were a priority, and they were making it's a good show. It's a good show. I'm sure you'll say all the other things, but it's a really good show, and I thankful for it.
Yeah. So it's a expo that focused specifically on games of the color and provides a space and a platform, and kind of does away with the message, the 101 conversation that it's also kind of a thing that runs rampant on applications and stuff, and it's just okay, why do you think diversity would be good for this industry? And I'm like, why is that a question?
Yeah.
The whole expo is just we don't need to be asking these 101 questions anymore. We're here, we're making really great games, and here's a platform where you can't say that there are no black game devs.
Here they are. There's a whole room full of them.
Yep. Whole room, a whole and it's also streamed online too. So there's an archive of the past 2 shows, also captioned, live caption. So it's accessible. It's available for anyone to go back and look through our archives, and it's just there to make you feel good. Because when you go to a con, it's so easy to feel erased.
Yes.
Honestly, when you're brown like me and you're in a sea of white dudes with beards, it's easy to get tokenized, and it's easy to kind of feel like you don't belong. And they've really created a space where we're uplifting each other, and that's that's one of my biggest advocacy bullet points, is uplifting other devs, uplifting people who don't always get a chance to raise their voice, and making sure that there's space for them. And if there's no space, it's kind of oh, well, if it's not there, build it and they will come. And you know what? That it happened. So we're going to be going on our fourth year this year in July in New York City. We just announced the conference. And along with the conference, we also announced a scholarship to the Game Developers Conference, which is coming up in March.
Cool.
This March. Any questions before I go into another thing?
No. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Adept 777. I have to say it like that.
777.
Yeah.
The goddamn black bat. This picture on the website is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. Is it just a bunch of devs of color? Yeah. How about
just
that?
A bunch of attendees out front of color, just enjoying each other's space. I feel like I thought I was in that photo. I can't find me.
No.
That's okay.
Same.
was in that photo.
It's just everybody who probably like stayed after to like talk before going to an after party. Basically, it's just good to have like that FaceTime. But one of the main aspects about this expo is that people are paid to be there. Like, even though we run on like the most, like we don't have a huge budget, but everyone is paid for their time, including the volunteers.
Fucking men.
GDC, what are you doing?
Oh.
just a small call out there, because a lot of the times, like a lot of speaking opportunities are like, you know, people are like, oh, we can't find people of color to be on these panels or do all of these things, when the reality is you're not supporting the people that you want to bring into the conference in the first place.
Right.
Like, come on.
We invite you to apply. Shit like that.
Oh, Josh.
Yep, sorry, I broke it. I'll get it.
No!
I'll get it.
Not the scholarship. The scholars here.
What?
You posted the scholarship.
Yeah, you talked about the scholarship. I thought if there were people who.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was my goal.
Okay.
There was a reason.
I was gonna say like we've already like selected the scholars for the program.
Oh well then.
Never mind.
Whoops.
But you can see them there. We're still updating that page, so there are more people being added every day. So with the scholarship, is kind of like, this has been like a dream of mine for I would say about like a good 2 years. My first experience at GDC were with what is now called. They change their name every year because we get different sponsors, so it's a little weird. But before that, it was the Women in Games Ambassadors, or the Intel Scholars, which was like all either like cis women or like anyone on that gender spectrum that is not a cis man, kind of brought together alongside the GDC Scholars, which is another program it has like a lot of high regard. In order to bring more people, more underrepresented groups to the table. And that was like my first experience at GDC, and having that support and having that backing really solidified my experience there, not necessarily as at the conference, but in a community of people who are also like coming up in games or just getting into the industry and wanted to like figure out if that space was for them.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really important. And since then, I've had 2 other scholarships. Last year, I was a conference associate, which is their equivalent of a volunteer that helps run the conference itself. And I want to bring more people to the table. Like, I don't think there isn't enough scholarships that we could possibly have for a conference where the ticket is $2,600.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that barrier to entry is
already there at the
it's set up and it's shining, and it might as well have a blinking screen. Right?
Yeah.
It's just like it's a bad deli sign. And I think there was more that we could do, and I proposed this last year, but it came up a little bit like too late in the talks right before the expo.
Sure.
So this year I was like, we're gonna make it a thing, and we're live. We're partnered with GDC now. So
that's so cool. Congratulations.
Thank you. My biggest goal is to make sure that I'm supporting all of the scholars on the ground, and making sure that they know where everything is. They are able to make the connections that they need to make. They're able to meet up with each other because, like I said, one brown, see a white face is a thing. Just seeing each other and seeing other people who are like you in that space, thriving, not just surviving, is a big part of why we want to do this in the first place. And like, you can't really use your voice if you're not at the table. So that was the main goal here, is to bring people to the table. Like, you already have the skills, you already have the know-how. Let's just get you here.
You're putting your money where your mouth is.
How awesome you are. Yeah. Brown People Thriving 2019.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I talked a lot.
No, it was good. You said so many good things that I didn't have to ask you to say because you're already saying them. It was perfect. Excuse me. Yeah, you talked about so many good things. Crossing these questions off my list. So obviously you go to cons, you go to meetups, you do that whole culture. You have your examples of cons that are doing it right. Do you have some examples of things that all cons could do to be more welcoming and supportive of devs of color?
Okay. Yes. There's a thing that I've seen some conferences do where they have like a, I guess an underrepresented area or like a, like, I don't know, inclusion area, like Indiecade has done this, PAX has done this. And I guess it's one thing to provide space and call it that, but it's also another thing to give people a platform.
Yes.
And maybe not make it, oh, well, here, we gave you a ticket. Like, that's not the only thing that you can do to uplift people. And a lot of the time this has to do with either not just a ticket, but also like making sure they have a way to get to wherever your conference is, especially if it's far away from them. Making sure that there is space for them in the first place. Like, you don't always want it, like, nobody wants to be, it's kind of like a segregation in a way, right?
Yeah.
You have like, can I talk about that on stream, Josh? Is that
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. So,
can we talk about
for lack of a better term here, it's kind of like you got your whites and you got your colors. Mm-hmm. What the hell, right?
Yep.
Like, give people the space and the platform. Make it an easier opportunity for them. It's not always like, what some floor spaces are $500 and up. For an indie game developer, that is a ridiculous amount of money. If you want people to submit games to your shows, don't make them pay an entry fee as a way to weed out people. Do the work. Play the games, make your decisions based on the content of the games. That's it. It shouldn't be how much money can you shovel out to put your game in a show, and you might not even get chosen. There's a lot of that going on. And on the other hand, pay your speakers.
Oh,
you have the money.
Yes.
How is it a small expo like GDOCE Expo can pay their speakers and you can't? You make over millions of dollars every year. It's possible. Where's the money going? Show us a budget. Be transparent. Like, there's so much things. But I think those are my main points.
Yeah.
Right? Like, a lot of the time people just want to slap ally on their Twitter or whatever and then just be like, yeah, I'm doing all this work, but are there people of color at your thing? And I'm not talking about like salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Like, for real though. Like, are there like, what's your percentage numbers? What is your ratio? Right?
Yes.
Are like the places where they have like panels of, okay, women in games, panel of all dudes. How?
Yeah. Diversity panel, all white men.
Yeah.
What?
Come on, people, think about it.
Yeah. Create the space.
Somebody's gonna make a GIF.
Dedicate the space. Yeah. Come on, people.
I'm gonna become a meme. Please don't meme me.
We're not recording you. Well,
the internet is.
The internet is.
I do.
Josh, you were gonna say a thing.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think in addition, I mean, it's about more than just diversity panels, right? Like, it's about, like, as somebody who's been on multiple diversity panels, like, where are the opportunities to participate that aren't, hey, you're here because you're black, or hey, you're here because you're, whatever.
That's what I wanted to say.
Sorry, so that's what.
You're on the same. No, it's good. Don't be ashamed. You're on the same wavelength. That's good. Yeah, and that's, I mean, a lot of this advice is also advice that I want to give to cons as a queer person too, right? Like, don't just invite queer people to be on the panel about being queer in gaming. Like, make sure that your space is safe and inclusive. Yeah. And all of this, 10 times so, frankly, with devs of color. And yes, Meg, what did you just say? I've already lost it. What did you just say?
I'm sorry.
No, before you said you're sorry. Whack.
Give people an opportunity to participate, not just because,
yes. Yes. Yeah. And focus on people's talents, and what they're good at doing, and not just who they are on paper. That's That's how you support the human being and not the statistic that they represent.
I guess just to clarify, the Game Devs of Color Expo is not a giant expo about diversity. It's just diverse people doing the things that they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see, we got a question here.
Yeah, we have a question from DMaestro73. But being a viewer, how do you support this? Are you selective about support?
Yeah, originally they had asked earlier.
Oh, what's the best way to be an ally in this area in 2019?
Yeah. So let's see. I mean, I don't know what your background is or where you're coming from, but first and foremost, you can be selective about support, especially people who are outright just straight up I'm against supporting any other person of color, any other women or gender diverse person. That should be probably the no-brainer there. But there are going to be times where you won't know any of this information and you have a decision to support someone when something like that comes up. And whether or not you either listen to the people who are hey, that really hurt me, that talks about the way that I lived, or just being the person that I am, you have to be a good listener. At the end of the day, are you listening to enough people? Are you listening to enough voices coming from people who have said, hey, this is not okay, and we need to talk about this, right? Because there's usually someone who's either in your life or someone in your work, at your workplace, that will be hey, I need to set this boundary. Can you help me? Can you be a part of that? And this is the thing that's going to happen. No matter what, even for me, I'm going to throw out all the labels on there. As a Afro-Latina, so I'm Black, I'm Hispanic, I'm also queer, and I identify as a cis woman. There are going to be areas where I know nothing about anything else on anybody else's struggle. And it is up to me to ask and go, is this okay? Are you uncomfortable with X, Y, and Z? What can I do to, just be good to you as a human?
What do you need and what can I do are I think two of the biggest questions that you can ask someone and really listen to their answers. If you're in I guess if you find yourself in a one-on-one situation in particular where you're trying to help someone out or trying to make sure that the space that you're creating is inclusive and open. That is my thought on that.
Yeah.
I guess as somebody who's trying to fill that role right now, I've probably asked you an absurd number of questions.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I think, at least I hope that the idea is to be okay with the idea of maybe getting it wrong sometimes, because that's going to happen, and that's why we ask questions. Is because I'm not going to carry all the knowledge myself. And I do feel in putting this together, trying to make sure that things are sharp or whatnot. So, I think that's a part of it too. Just admit you're going to be humbled on multiple occasions, and that is okay, and it's part of the learning and growth process.
Yeah, Black Bat says being able to get it wrong and not make the wrong about you is huge. Yes. Yeah. That's a big one. Also. And again, I'm really trying to have this line between, because this is Black experience stuff we're talking about, and then it's also bleeding a little bit into queer experience stuff, which is what I can talk about, and I want to be referential to my experience without acting like I'm trying to talk over your experience. And I say that because I'm thinking about that and being able to get it wrong and not make the wrong about you as a non-binary trans person. When someone, like, for example, messes up my pronouns, I just want to be able to say, oh, I'm they, actually. And for them to go, oh, okay. And for that to be the end of that interaction and to not have, like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. I'm just trying my best. It's me, you know, me. And I think that's, you know, a good thing that applies when you're dealing with experiences outside your own, that you're going to mess up, you're going to be humbled, and to just take it in and say, oh, sorry, and, like, promise to do better. And there you go. You've done it.
Yeah, I mean, even to, like, maybe add on to that a little bit, when you're in positions where, okay, say Emily has already stated their pronouns and someone is consistently or maybe unknowingly, like, misgendering them, you as the friend can be like, hey, actually, their pronouns are they, them. Like, you can be that person. And that also, like, shows that you're willing to, like, you know, step up for them. And it's not always going to be like, you know, a weird, like, sword and shield type hero thing. It's really just being decent and making sure that your friends are being treated decently as well. Like, there's a difference between being nice and being a decent person.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And that distinction can get kind of messy, but it's more about, are you doing the right thing or are you not? Are you being explicit in how you treat someone because you believe a certain thing, or are you listening to them and going, okay, I can adjust?
Totally. Yeah.
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 Mini Allyship Conference 2019. Yeah. We did it. Josh is like, yeah.
There was an acronym that I heard at a podcasting conference once, and it was WAIT. And it was, in situations where you're thinking about talking, you should think of, why am I talking?
Why am I talking?
And there are also, for folks who are introverted, it was, wait, why aren't I talking?
That's so good.
But I have to do the first one. So that's...
Why am I talking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do that a lot. But I appreciate that you folks are willing to have this... because, like, when you were saying, like, I feel like this is a conversation about black things, I was like, I feel like this is a conversation about queer things. And, like, but I appreciate that you're willing to have this kind of conversation, and that that we have a space in which... because I do feel like there is this sort of, what's that phrase, if it's not intersectional, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yep.
There are so many different ways that, even though there are unique experiences, that there are all of these through lines, and there are places where there are shared scenarios.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that we can have those kinds of discussions.
Yeah, and acknowledging those intersections makes all of our communities stronger and more able to support each other, and confronting and working together on the ways that our experiences do not line up is also how you work on the foundation of supporting and having stronger communities. Like, yeah, this shit matters. This shit matters a lot. Like,
Yeah.
A lot.
And I will say, to the black experience that GD Black Bat brings up, where it's like, I think a lot of people don't allow for the space of, well, actually, and it said marginalized frustration or anger, so it's not just in the black experience. But in my particular experience, like, my sort of entire cultivation of upbringing has been, I realize, a small part shaped around not being the angry black man, because I don't want to scare anybody or intimidate them or whatever. And, like, yeah, this definitely intersects for a lot of folks, and I think having that space to be able to be angry and black, or angry and queer, and, like, have that be respected. You have to be able to have those discussions where you can say, like, yo, I can be... Yeah.
We were each getting frustrated about the same thing the other day, and I said, man, I'm angry and gay. And he goes, I'm angry and black. And it was, a cross-platform anger,
Yes.
you know? It applied to each of us in our specific identities. But yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely something I completely relate to. And it's also like part of my upbringing that I'm not allowed to be angry in like any way, shape, or form. Otherwise, like now I'm like aggressive or whatever. Like it's kind of dehumanizing in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's so much like, okay, I need to be a human right now, and if you're gonna get scared of me being a normal person, it's kind of like, okay, what else are you afraid of?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like emotions kind of work like that, and everybody has a range, and it's kind of
Yeah, and sometimes they're messy, and sometimes they're stereotypical, quote unquote, if that's the view, that's the lens that you're putting it through, like, yeah, and they're not always going to be clean or palatable or make you comfortable, and that's a good thing. And if someone's like genuine expression is making you uncomfortable, maybe you should ask yourself why. And if the answer isn't like, you know, because I'm in danger right now or something, like maybe you should examine that a little more and take a chance to work that out before the next time someone's genuine expression makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah. Black Bat, I want that crop top.
I know, I'm sitting here, I'm waiting for my chance. Black Bat needs an I'm an angry black gay crop top. I bet we can provide for you, my friend. I can draw some words that get printed on a t-shirt. We'll see. I might even know some black gay artists who are making similar products right now.
I can think of a few.
Yeah.
maybe not the same product, but they're putting it on their characters. Like
yeah. We'll get you that good angry black gay content, Black Bat. Don't you worry about it. It's out there. Man. Well, I think the last thing that I want to ask that isn't... Yeah, Black Bat is our angry black gay. That's like the role that she fills here. The Slytherin of the gang. Not to just like totally call her out on that, but that's a thing. I think the last thing I want to ask that we hasn't come up naturally yet, is if you have a list, some devs that you like and are inspired by, that you would like to plug.
You're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Mouthfeel.
No,
stop. Yes, of course. There's a lot of devs, but people that come to mind right now, for sure, I think I'm like ping them on the Intelligame thing specifically for the show. There's Kat Small, who is a product designer and game developer. She just released a game called Sweetheart,
which is great.
Which talks about her experience. Well, not her experience, but the character's experience growing up in the Bronx, doing internships and managing work relationship friends and just balancing it all along with like everything that goes with just, you know, being a woman on the street in the sense. Not on the street like she lives on the street, but just like
a woman in public.
Yeah, there you go. Words are a thing. There's also TJ Hughes. I'm just like a really big fan of his. He's so nice.
His work is very good.
The most colorful food. And it's not actual food, it's video game food, but
it's like Ghibli food. You look at it and you want to eat it.
Yeah, it's just really fun to play with, and made with like a I think it's called a MIDI fighter.
Yep.
Yeah. Forgive me if that's wrong.
No,
I think
right.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got a chance to play it at XOXO, and it was like one of the most joyful things I did the entire weekend.
Joyful is a really good word for his whole oeuvre. He's a joyful dude.
He's making flan now. If you check out his Twitter, he has flan physics. I am so excited.
Yay!
Dude's unreal.
Are you good?
I'm good.
Welcome back.
Let's.
Thanks.
There's another awesome person who also released a game earlier this year called Museum Multiverse. His name is Hasbasio Hassan. He is a VR developer. He's also made a game called Don't Look Away for the Samsung Gear. Sorry, I forgot which company was behind it because Oculus, but not really. But then Samsung took the name things. Anyway, Museum Multiverse is kind of like an adventure game that you play as like this little black boy running through different like universes through the museum and just like exploring, and it can get scary. It's really fun, really creative, and he's always had like the best energy to me. So if you have a chance.
Oh shoot! Oh, I'm so sorry, everyone. Who's wearing headphones?
Oh no! Are they okay? Yeah. I can't help from here.
I've been talking. I've been talking for a little while.
You have been.
Excuse me. Josh is on a mission to get me some water.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry that I just coughed in everyone's ears.
Yay. Some relief.
There you go.
Yep. That's how we get back into ASMR. Good. I'm sorry.
Stop.
The tapping is the most benign one. You gotta let me tap.
I've not been gone long enough for this to be an ASMR.
Oh no! Black Bat added the mouthfeel command. It is happening.
Oh my god.
I want to use
It is real. I'm sorry.
We give you one stream. All it took was one stream.
Oh, this is a good day.
Do you need more water? Can I?
All right. I am not sorry at all for talking about the mouthfeel. I'm so sorry that I just started coughing over what you were saying. What were you talking about?
So I was talking about I had a third person I was inspired by. His name is Hasbasio Hassan. He is a VR developer.
Could you type that? Could you type
his
in the
name
chat?
into the
I've been
chat?
trying to find it, but I can't.
Oh, do you want Twitter or do you want?
If Twitter's fine, I can post other links from there. Sorry,
Mouthfeel is underrepresented in Intelligame.
No, it's
Thank you,
not.
Unseen. Yeah,
It's really not.
Not enough people talk about the mouthfeel of video games, and I am here to change that.
I mean, I can tell you what the mouthfeel of Resident Evil 2 is.
What's the mouthfeel of Resident Evil 2?
It's no.
Oh,
Nope.
yeah. Yep. Slimy, but
Yeah,
thick.
It's just getting the crap scared out of you.
Like
and
an
then
oyster.
going,
It's like biting into an oyster.
This
Yeah,
show,
that makes
this
more
show's
sense.
getting canceled so fast.
I'm going to bring an oyster to the next stream, and I'm going to eat it.
Absolutely not. Oh.
I bring such class to the Intelligame community. I bring such highbrow comedy. You're so lucky to have me.
I'll just.
Finally, one of the Intelligame mod trolls gets a show.
With mods like these.
I love you.
Yeah.
Sand?
Please. I didn't want to distract from his fascio.
If you have sand in your oyster, it's not a good oyster.
I think we left our mature content
This is
flag
a
on.
hot
I think
mess.
we're okay.
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
I didn't say anything too racy.
Did we finally get that poor Dev's link in the chat?
Yes,
or did
it
it
was
even
like
happen?
a-
Okay, good. Thank God. I'm sorry. Please, Rachél, please tell us about his work and why he inspires you.
Yeah, so he made this game called Museum Multiverse, which is a VR game where you're like this little boy jumping through like little mini universes in a museum, and it gets kind of scary sometimes. It's just really dope. I've watched him like develop like a good portion of this game, and it has turned out spectacularly, and I'm so happy that it's finally.
Yay! Oh, I infected you.
I only got
coughing.
the one. It was
Good. One and done. Good job.
Yeah, I gave you like a good 3.
Yeah. And I didn't know one of them, and now I get a cool new person to check out and a game to look at. Very exciting. I strongly recommend the work of TJ and Kat Small, who were the other 2 devs that Rachél mentioned. They're great. I just finished playing through Sweetheart a couple of times, which is the game that Kat just put out. The art is great. The writing is great. It's short and sweet, but it's like really meaty. It's really fun.
I have so many feels.
Yeah, it makes a lot of feelings. It's she advertises it as a game about microaggressions. In part about microaggressions. And it does a really good job of simulating that feel. And there's a surprising like depth to the mechanics. You have this, one of the things that's going on is you have a bar that's keeping track of your comfort level, your like personal happiness and comfort level, and the different choices that you make throughout the week affect where you are in that, and where you are when you go to bed affects how you feel when you wake up, and little stuff like that. So it's really cool playing through. At least a couple of times you get to see like how the mood affects your decisions and the dialogue options that come up to you. Things that seem like they wouldn't have much variation do when you're feeling good or when you're feeling bad, which is like real life kind of in that way. Well, thanks. Yeah, you should all play Sweetheart. It's a good game. Yeah. Tight. It's 8:00. We did it.
Yeah. It was like, wait. They were like, 7:59, 7:59, 8:00, yes! Oh,
No.
We made it.
Not at all.
Josh said 2 hours and I
No,
just didn't know
I'm very proud of ourselves of myself anyway, for filling 2 hours of, this was great. We did it. I'm very pleased. Let's catch up on the chat. Kim Chica says, awesome first episode. Yay, thank you. Mouthfeel and all. Yeah, that's right. Did anybody say Intelligame yet? Oh, that was one of my first ideas for what to call the show. And then we realized that it should be something that like maybe stands apart from Intelligame. If I want to take it elsewhere after I'm done on my run here, then I can...
Or, yeah, after you get canceled.
After I get canceled for turning this into an ASMR channel. Josh is firing me after we turn the camera off. That's how this is happening. Oh no, Pete did the mouthfeel command. Pete, you gremlin. You are part of the problem. That's my partner, Pete. Everybody say hi to him.
Pete.
Give him some shit. Whatever you want. No, I'm very grateful to him supporting me. Part of the reason I got to be here is because he helps me get around and helps support me in my real life. I have some chronic health, physical and mental health conditions that I live with that are very nicely aided by the love and support of a partner. And that is one of those barriers of entry to creative work of any kind. Streaming, making video games, having the resources inside yourself to do everything yourself that's not everyone can do that. And the world is not super set up for people to be able to ask for help and get support from a network. And I want to encourage everyone to not be ashamed if you are not a one-person business. If you can't do absolutely everything yourself, that's like the norm, actually, and not the way it should be. And I'm into communities that support each other and have resources and don't expect everyone to be able to do everything the same way as everyone else with the same amount of energy and the same amount of emotional labor. Little mini rant there. Yeah.
Much needed. Accessibility is a thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Also, don't assume that everyone's just like nice and healthy. Like that's not always the case.
Invisible disability is also a thing. I'm gonna drink this water now. I drank the water. You were all warned. It's done. Well,
should have done it closer to the mic.
I should have done. Gulp, gulp, gulp.
The video
If you encourage the ASMR,
do you want to give Rachél an opportunity to say their stuff?
Yeah.
Because now that I have to talk away from ASMR.
Yeah. So, Rachél, any closing statements? Please, thank you so much for being here, for sharing this game with us, for creating this game, and being one of the people who got to tell this story. Thanks for answering my questions and chatting and laughing while I whacked the mic every 5 minutes. And you were an excellent guest.
Thank you.
Please tell the people where they can find you and your work and how they can support you.
Right. You can find me on Twitter as popular_pixels. That is also my my Instagram. Do I don't even use Instagram that much? Not really. On Twitch, I have a different name. It's Silver Y. But I don't know. Maybe one day I'll start streaming and you'll just randomly see me on the tubes.
Yeah.
And I currently have like a GoFundMe going, actually, because GBC is kind of ridiculous in terms of like costs and everything. There have been a few personal hiccups that I've reached out and asked for help. So if you could take a look at that, I'd be very grateful if you could give it a share.
Yeah.
And I really thank you for having me. Thank you for playing my game. And just like making this space, because I feel like everybody's gonna have a really good time being on the show.
Oh,
You're doing a good job.
thank you.
Also, thank you everybody in chat who's been like asking questions, being super respectful, and being like,
Intelligame has
like,
a killer chat and just a really great community. The Discord is a really good place to go hang out and meet all these people. Rachél, can you link your GoFundMe directly into the chat?
Let's see. Sorry, it's gonna take a second. Yeah. And there you go.
Yay! It would be awesome if folks could check that out and share it around on your social medias. Give Rachél a boost.
Yep.
She deserves it.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. I guess this is the closing moment. These are our closing arguments. In summation, the game was awesome. Rachél is awesome. Good stream, everybody. I think we really nailed it for our first one. Thanks for tuning into Queercade for this, whatever this is. I really appreciate everyone being here and being willing to check it out. Excuse me, bubbles in my throat. That's bad ASMR. I hope that she'll stop by in 2 Mondays from now when we return to the Intelligame channel for Queercade episode 2. Rachél will not be with us, sadly, but
I won't be the guest, but I'll probably hang out and chat.
But maybe she'll be in chat. Cool. That'd be so great. Yeah. Should I just say goodbye?
Well, thank you.
Do we have a sign off?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What's the Queercade sign off?
Are you gone? Are you still?
What's gone?
Uh-oh.
What are you looking for?
The picture's gone on the stream.
Oh,
I see that. I don't know why it's gone.
I still see.
Here.
I see you here.
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
Hi everyone.
All right. But yeah, I guess we can probably let Rachél go and we'll do our own outro thing. But thank you so much for joining us, Rachél. This was a blast. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Have a good rest of the stream.
Have a good one.
Bye.
So I think I know how to do this part. We're using new technology.
Yeah. Stay assy? That is not my sign off. Good night and get lucky, Peter.
Wow.
That's camera. Yeah, camera 1.
Okay.
Camera 2. Camera 1.
Right. All right. Well.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone once again for stopping by Queercade. This was awesome. Truly, thanks for being here. Thanks for asking your questions. Thanks for hopping on this mouthfeel train with me. I really appreciate it. I solemnly accept my duties as a new troll mod, who's here to make Josh's life as difficult as possible. I love you all. Thanks for being here. Stay gay. There it is. That's my sign off. Stay gay.
Let's drop a raid over to Hentai PhD. Nina Freeman is a game developer. She has worked on a number of really awesome projects, including Kimmy. She works for Fulbright, so she worked on Tacoma, and has been an advocate in a number of ways for folks in the queer community.
Cool.
So,
yeah, let's drop her a raid.
This is a vastly different game experience, but I think you'll enjoy it.
What's she playing right now? Apex Legends.
It's the
which
new...
someone in the Discord told me has some queer characters in it.
Yeah, actually, it's got 2 black women. It has a non-binary character. I believe either 1 or 2 gay characters, explicitly stated right in the beginning of their bios.
Overwatch-esque.
It's
More like
PUBG.
More like PUBG. Okay, but this is a commercial that I saw for this game, and 2 of the 3 characters that they show you in the commercial are black women, and I was like, oh look, it can be done. Hey, Overwatch. Look, they have 2 of them right away. What are you doing?
Not having their shit together. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. Another robot? Cool. A hamster.
Yup.
Huh. Okay.
Easier to do a hamster
What a
rolling
decision.
around in a ball than
a black one.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh god. That's much louder than it's supposed to be.
Goodbye, everybody. Josh is trying to drown me out before I say mouthfeel again. Mouthfeel.
Stop right now. Oh my gosh.